EOB. It's Red Zone Sports Director Devin Fry, and I gotta say I love the new look.
Do you like the new name, the new look? We've been trying to move from big board sports since I took over the department, really, and Red Zone just kind of came to me while I was driving one day. Our station color is red.
Yeah.
Red Zone is a sports thing.
Yeah.
So the creative team helped me out. Incredible logos, incredible intro for our sportscast now, and our lights are red in the studio now. We're doing sports. It's very, very
crispy.
fun. Very crisp. And so, no, it's been a blast. And, I obviously want to just keep evolving us here. That's what.
Of course.
And so, like, we had been big board sports for a very long time because we used to show scores on the big, on the 4-panel behind us. We moved past that so long ago, but the name has always stuck around. And so, just a fun little rebrand, and it's been well received so far. And so,
I loved it.
Saying Red Zone Sports is just very cool. That's
it's honestly, it's just like really the V behind there is super clean.
You can see it. There we go.
And you'll be able to see it when you tune in as well.
This entire
don't do
stool
that.
over.
That would have been crazy.
A heck of an episode for this, though.
Yeah.
It's still checking the score, but you're in the red zone.
Checking
to check the score.
the concussion
checking
as well.
checking my physical status after falling off of the stool. If you see me fall off of this stool, it's not a bit. End the stream. I need help. I fell off a stool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, let's not do that. But what we will do is, it's the game everyone's talking about, and so we're kind of going to be pretty one-dimensional this week.
Which is, this one's fair.
Yeah.
It's 1 versus 2 in the country. It's the Dakota marker week.
It's on ESPN.
On primetime kickoff.
Yeah.
7 p.m. kick. Like, it just has a playoff feel. And, this is as big of a regular season game as we've gotten in the Fargodome in quite some time.
Yeah.
And so the last South Dakota State game that they were in the Fargodome felt like a big deal. That doesn't even touch 1 versus 2 in the country. 2 teams who are unbeaten against other FCS teams, and just the rivalry itself, it sells tickets anyway. But then when you have all of these outside factors to it, and one of the big outside factors is just how long South Dakota State has held on to that rock. And the Dakota Marker Trophy, which we have some video just of, it's just the marker stuff. But they have held on to this thing for each of the last 4 regular season games. They've won this, and then they also won that national championship in Frisco as well. So 5 wins in a row for South Dakota State over NDSU, and this was last year's game. I was down there for this one, and it was it felt really close through the first half, and then South Dakota State asserted themselves. I believe 33-16 was the final. Wow, that was correct. I'm so good at this. And so, but yeah, no, the Rock has been south of the border for a very long time, and Coach Polasek, he has his first year as head coach of this rivalry. He's of course seen this rivalry grow to the point where it's at right now, but he's leading the team into this as head coach for the first time, and he made it very clear that what their main mission is heading into this weekend.
You go out there, and what you do is you got to embrace the competition. This is 2 evenly matched teams. Somebody will lose. I want to be the team that runs over and grabs the damn rock, and I want to be the team that responds and says enough is enough. It's our time. The time is now. And what I mean by that, and I'm talking to the group, my team, our football team, we need to go practice right now today. Like, you have to win today in order to position yourself to win on Saturday.
When he says that, he's like, we need to go end this press conference and go practice right now.
Let me go. I would like to practice with
we
my
need to
team
practice
now,
right now.
But yeah, no, it's very, very clear what everybody wants done right now.
Yeah.
And
that's the energy I feel like that the Bison have needed. There has been, he was always really confident going into it. Yeah. He's like, we're going to beat them. But this is a different feel. I feel like Polasek is a natural motivator.
Right.
The first time we saw him and heard him speak, we kind of made eye contact. Yeah. Like, this guy's
He got
different.
fired up about something in the press conference, and we were like, this is going to be fun.
And I'm ready to run through a wall.
Oh, every single time we saw it. But for him to start it by saying that they've held the marker for too long, he completely understands what this means to this program. Obviously, him coming up through this program, he knows what this means to them. And so for North Dakota State, this is the biggest game of the year, and they've played Colorado. They had a revenge game against UND. This is without question not just their biggest game of the year, but the biggest FCS game of the year so far.
And it's going to be essentially the biggest game. I think it's going to be bigger than most playoff games.
I agree. Yeah, any playoff game that isn't directly impacting these two teams in Montana State, I don't think it will matter as much as this Dakota Parker game will. So
Some people think Montana State's number 2.
I could have seen that. And if I was a voter, I would have had, with what they did to Idaho, I would have had a hard time not putting Montana State at number 2. However, North Dakota State hasn't done anything to lose that ranking either.
Right.
So I'm totally fine with this 1 versus 2 going into this. But another aspect with the Dakota marker, with how long South Dakota State's held on to it, if you do the math, so they've held on to it for the last 4 regular season wins. That means there's one class of players on this current roster who has has actually held the trophy physically, and that's the 6th-year guys.
Wow.
So only those seniors in that class have been able to hoist the rock at the end of one of these games. And so I talked to a couple of the players. I talked to LaShaka Rokes and Joe Stuffle just about what it would mean to be able to hold on to that trophy for the first time in their careers here at North Dakota State, which not everyone has had to wait this long in the storied history here.
I've actually never touched the rock, and like as soon as I got on campus, that was the first year like we did start getting beat by SCSU. So it honestly does mean a lot to me, and I'd love to get the feeling that many others have felt.
You know, as being in my 5th year, final year, it's one of those deals where it's like you have lost every single game against these guys. Like that's unacceptable, and you know that's just one of those deals where it's like we've had enough of it, and I think we're just ready to go.
Ready to go?
Oh yeah, and we've had enough of it. This is what Joe said. And
Yeah.
that is just a perfect microcosm of what the entire attitude was like for every player I've talked to since the week started.
Well,
And so,
Cam Miller, has he thrown an interception this year?
I got to look at that. I don't want to be. I definitely don't want to be wrong.
I've been keeping an eye on the stats.
But he's.
I don't think he has. Maybe it's been 1.
So and he's going to be another big kind of question mark coming into this game, because I mean there's a lot of things to have to control. And no, Cam's not thrown a pick yet this year. His completion percentage is also nuts. He's only dipped below.
And he's never beaten SDSU.
No.
So this is like your Walter Payton first place guy right now.
Now the thing you have to look for with Cam is he was still looking pretty hobbled against Southern Illinois. Of course, he hurt his ankle against UND.
Right.
Southern Illinois, he was just kind of a step slow. And
Okay.
Coach Paulsek even said in the press conference that Cam apparently was not as healthy as Coach Paulsek had thought he was going into the SIU game. So he said that Miller was looking better this week. So we'll see how Miller's health develops. Another a tough injury that the one that they're kind of still dealing with is just a fatigue issue with his knee is Bryce Lance. He came up limp on a couple plays, but he finished the game. Cam and Bryce both hobbled a bit but finished the game. The one that didn't finish the game and is going to be out against South Dakota State is Dylan Hendricks.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. Coach Paulsek called it a pretty severe or a significant knee injury is what he said. He also said they don't know if they're going to get him back, and so that's a big loss. However, the defensive line is very deep for NDSU. That's been kind of the theme all season, and they still have Eli Mostart. Of course, Jackson Dudenheffer's had a heck of a year. LaShaka Rokes, who we just heard from, so they're going to be okay on the defensive front. But they're going up against the biggest offensive line that they've seen yet so far this year. South Dakota State continues. I thought that they were losing some of their big guys, as this final class finally graduated out, but they're still huge up front. And so trenches, it always comes down to the trenches with these two teams. And just like every other game in the Valley, it's going to be about stopping the run, which when you have the reigning Walter Payton winner, Mark Gronowski,
I was just going to say.
You're kind of like, you have to key in on that. But he has to make a lot more desperate plays if you don't let them get 3-4 yards on first down.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to establish the run game early. North Dakota State has to control the run game, and that's what Coach Paulsek said in his press conference as well. I promise, all of my analysis, I don't just make it up. I'm not relying on my vast football knowledge of NAIA college player and high school offensive line coach to tell you what my analysis is. This all comes from the team itself, and so controlling the run game is going to be big, especially against South Dakota State, they live and die by the run. They still do this year, despite having Gronowski back there. So, and then, there's the outsider looking in the quarterback duel aspect of it, of Mark Gronowski versus Cam Miller. That's always enticing.
Well, Gronowski's, it goes without being said, we talked about the record, but he has had NDSU's number.
Correct, yeah. And I think that came through the most in the rally they had in the Fargodome a couple of years ago. Last year he was putting on a show. He was just finding the Yonke twins and they were running. But against the Fargodome, in that game in the Fargodome, he showed real guts and really took over the second half of that game there. And speaking of that game in the Fargodome, the winner of this game each year has been the winner of the turnover margin. Whichever team doesn't turn the ball over wins the football game. North Dakota State doesn't turn the ball over a lot. They don't.
And this year especially.
Especially this year. Against South Dakota State, they have. And it's just kind of something about how physical their defense plays, forcing fumbles, really aggressive South Dakota State defense. And so
is insane. Like just looking the last few weeks, I know it's not, none of these teams are the caliber of NDSU, but 41-0 Southeast Louisiana, 41-3 over Northern Iowa, 63-13. So over that's Youngstown State. So 3 weeks and they've let up 16 points. You go back even further, it's 19 points in the last 4 games they've allowed.
The most they've allowed in a game is to an FBS team. Oklahoma State hung up 20 on
44.
20 on them.
44
on them.
because they lost that game. Yeah.
And so an FBS team was able to beat them, and that's been it so far.
Yeah.
And so it's South Dakota State is still as good as we figured they would be coming into the year. They have done nothing to even think of them not being the top team in the country right now. But North Dakota, this is absolutely going to be a game. I want to make that very clear. This has a national championship feel right now, and I'm very excited to see what happens in the Fargodome. I'm going to be, unfortunately, out of town.
Oh, really?
Well, nominated for an Emmy, no big deal. And so we're
huge for the program.
So I'm going out there.
Congratulations.
But thanks, man. Appreciate it. I was just a part of the team on that one, and so I'm going to that award ceremony. I don't know when I'll ever get to go back to that, and so I was like, I'm going to have to miss this one.
Well, that's a big game for Devin.
Right, exactly. There's 2 really big games to focus on this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, and a third big game to focus on, North Dakota, also set to be in action this week. They're coming off of their bye. UND, of course, they had a really good year right up until that North Dakota State game. The NDSU game was probably the most they've been exposed, if you want to call it that, so far this year. I wouldn't, of course, but North Dakota State is, I believe, the superior team, and they proved that. Now North Dakota just kind of has to figure out where they go from here. And there's a revenge game aspect to this that we don't get a lot, especially going from season to season. UND at this exact same point, coming off of their win against NDSU, they went out to Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa shut them out. They're the only team to shut UND out since they joined the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Okay.
And so we talked to some of the players. That's still kind of lingering in there, but overall, it's obviously a new team, new year. Northern Iowa not having the best year, but they've played 2 FBS opponents, so their 2-4 record. It's really not the biggest.
Yeah, they lost to Hawaii and Nebraska.
Right. Come on. Right, but it's. And then, South Dakota State, also the number 1 team in the country. They lost to South Dakota, who's currently the number 4 team in the country. So I can't think of a team that's had a tougher schedule than Northern Iowa so far.
And Michael Rosberg, shout out Michael Rosberg.
Oh yeah, he played against Northern Iowa when they played St. Thomas.
Yeah,
big time.
So they did beat the Tommies.
But yeah, no, Northern Iowa is still a traditionally solid team, and so we talked to Bubba last week, Bubba Schweigert, about the timing of their bye week. He said it was perfect, sandwiched between 2 traditionally strong FCS opponents, North Dakota State and Northern Iowa. Now they just have to get things back on track. Good news, it's in the Alara Center. UND is still undefeated in the Alara Center this year.
They haven't lost there since 1846.
They have 2 losses there in the last handful of years. So they win well. They play well in the Alara Center. Yeah, they really do. And
it's the season opener. That's since the 80s, literally, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Madonna was the top-selling artist last time they lost their home opener.
That's
so they play very well in the Alara Center. They're still a solid team, and they're still blowing away expectations.
I think it's a really good time for like you're saying the bye, but just the emotional side of that because you're coming off an emotional loss to NDSU, and it's just like last year. I almost wonder if the emotions got so big after that game that it led to a little bit of a letdown after.
And that happened to me in college. We beat our biggest rival for the first time in however long, and we lost the next game. It's the emotions of that. It's easy to get caught up in that.
Don't get too high, don't get too low.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a good follow-up. One last note on this game. Isaiah Smith was banged up in – I'm in the shadows now. Isaiah Smith, their leading rusher. They have 3 running backs with over 250 yards, but their leading rusher is Isaiah Smith. He got banged up early in the NDSU game. He ended up with 1 carry and 1 catch in that game, which is obviously not the production that you expect from him. So I don't know what happened there. Anyway.
That light went off. Do you want to turn that one on? I'll allow
sure.
it. I'll allow
all right, I'm going to get up. I hope
Devin's
this
going to turn a
microphone
light
stays.
on. I'm going to throw some more UNDVO. There we go.
There we go.
Now we're cooking.
Now I'm lit. But we're talking about, Isaiah Smith. We talked to Coach Schweigert up at the press conference on Monday, just kind of about his health, especially having the bye week to kind of catch up on that. He says he still wasn't at 100% at the beginning of the week, but they're hoping to have him back by Saturday. So that'll obviously be a huge boost. And
absolutely.
There it goes back again with the timing of the bye week.
And they can get on a little run here. I'm kind of looking at the schedule. They got Northern Iowa. I think they can beat. I think they will beat. Youngstown State. I think they can and will beat. I think they're going to be looking pretty good. And then they got SDSU November 9th. It's just kind of crazy how fast the calendar's turning this year.
And that's a tough stretch too. South Dakota State, then South Dakota.
Yeah, and then Illinois State. So real tough stretch. This is the time you want to gather some momentum.
Right, and so these next 3 games, thankfully their 2 road trips are at Youngstown State, who has struggled, and then at Indiana State. So we'll see where UND goes from here.
Let's get into our NFL picks.
Let's do it.
Starting with tonight. Your New Orleans Saints hosting the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos, Bo Nix he's been like okay.
He's been fine.
And I think the Broncos are going to win. If New Orleans was healthy, I would say New Orleans wins.
I would have a hard time picking against the Saints if they were healthy. Unfortunately for me, they're super not healthy.
Rashid Shaheed is
Rashid
out.
Shaheed
Olave
he just got put on
IR so at least 4
Olave's
weeks.
out with a concussion. Our top receiver right now is probably going to be Taysom Hill.
Yikes. And even he's banged up.
Right.
He's always hurt.
So Bub Means is out there.
Bub Means.
We have Spencer Radler starting again, which I believe in Spencer Radler. It's just who's he throwing
Maybe if
to?
he had a receiver.
So,
yeah.
Hammer the Broncos.
All right, hammer the Broncos. Jacksonville State in London, and this time they're at Wembley Stadium. They're hosting officially the New England Patriots.
What did England do to us that one of the games we send over there is the Patriots against the Jags?
That's
Two one-win teams.
Also, who decided that the Jaguars are going to be like London's unofficial team? Because that's kind of mean too.
So the Shad Khan, who
really?
owns the Jaguars,
so there's a reason to this,
right? He has a soccer club over there, a football club over there, and so they're big on that, and he loves London and whatnot, and so Jacksonville is kind of London's unofficial team.
Jacksonville's going to win.
Remember when they were doing Toronto games in the early 2010s, and Buffalo was playing up in Toronto once a season? Oh, okay.
Well, it's like I'll take your word for it.
It's like that. Anyway, coin flip game. I'm going with Jacksonville because they stayed up there.
Atlanta. I have Atlanta beating Seattle. This one's in Atlanta.
I agree. Don't have anything.
Buffalo's hosting the Titans. Titans are really bad. Buffalo's really good. Buffalo at home.
Buffalo. Yep.
Okay, the Cincinnati Bengals desperate for a win. The Cleveland Browns desperate for a win. This one's in Cleveland. Nick Chubb is back, and what I'm seeing actually is that there isn't going to necessarily be a snap count. I don't think that means that he's going to run it 30 times.
Right.
But I think Nick Chubb is like ready to go, not just like ready to have 8 handoffs.
The rest of that roster is such a mess, though. Right now.
Offensive line starting to get a little healthier.
A little bit.
You still got to go Cincy, I feel like.
But Cleveland just has Joe Burrow's number as well.
Ooh, okay.
Since he's taken over as quarterback there. I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati, but I don't like that. I want
Okay.
I want an asterisk.
It's a
next to
really
this on my
hard
pick.
week to pick games.
It is,
Like it's
yeah.
about to get crazy.
Yes.
Green Bay hosting Houston. Like I said, it's about to get crazy. This one was so hard to pick.
I'm firm behind the Texans on this one.
Okay, you're firm behind them.
I really believe in Houston this year, and they've been a fun team to watch. That's really it. I'm basically picking off of vibes, and the vibes are leading me to Houston.
Green Bay's got a really good defense. Always hard to win in Lambeau, which is why Houston's going to do it, and they're going to win. Indianapolis Colts hosting the Miami Dolphins. The X factor here, quite simply, is Miami had a bye week.
Yes.
And so I think that
I was about to ask what Miami did last week. Since
They
Tua
did
got,
nothing,
Since
right?
Tua got hurt, I have
well,
no
they needed
idea
a
what
bye
the
week in the
Dolphins
worst way. Tyler Huntley, I thinking is going to be in better command of the offense against a pretty suspect Colts secondary.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not sure what the status of Jonathan Taylor is, that Colts run game. Also, everyone was like ready to drink the Kool-Aid with Anthony Richardson. I
Yeah.
don't think he's that good.
Well,
he
it's
has
not
not
the
been
point.
that good. I think he's going to play. I'm going Miami.
I saw really good analysis on Anthony Richardson that said he can make throws that 99% of NFL quarterbacks can't make. However, he also can't make throws that 99% of NFL quarterbacks can make.
That's
so
amazing.
It's the best analysis I've ever heard because it's so accurate. Yeah, I'm also going with Miami on that one.
We're all the same picks so far. Let's
Are
see
we
if
really?
it continues.
Okay, we'll be different. I'm picking the Vikings.
I'm also picking the Vikings.
I thought we were going to be different on that.
That's going to be such a great game. And once again, it came down to Miami's coming off a bye week.
Right.
I think that extra week of preparation, and then you throw in the fact that Aiden Hutchinson, went
being
down.
out is brutal. For the
Yeah,
Lions.
brutal timing. Also, that Detroit secondary, they play a lot of man. They are at times getting torched.
Right.
I think Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson is back also, it looks like.
T.J. Hawkinson revenge game possible. I'm here
I
for
mean,
that.
I think they're going to overwhelm the Lions, but maybe the Lions get the next one.
And I've been giving a ton of love to Sam Darnold because he's a USC guy, and so I give him all the credit for Minnesota's wins. But their defense is so crazy good this year. Brian Flores
It's
has
literally
put
the
together-
best in the NFL.
Right. And so, I mean, I'm going to pick the best defense in the NFL against Jared Goff 7 days a week. So, hammer the Vikings.
Absolutely. New York is hosting the Eagles.
I don't know.
I went with the Eagles here.
I don't mean to agree with you on all of these. I swear.
It might
I
just
can't-
be that
wait,
kind of
I've
week.
picked against the Giants every week. I'm not going to change that. I'm going with the Eagles.
The LA Rams are hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry, man. The same picks are going to continue. We're both going with the Rams,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's gonna
Aiden O'Connell, come on.
Hey, it's going to continue once again.
It is. We might just have all the same picks. It's really starting to look that way.
Washington.
Washington is going to
over
beat the
Carolina.
Panthers.
Yep, okay.
Okay, now this one.
This one might be different.
Kansas City at San Francisco. Who do you got?
Kansas City.
I also have Kansas City. Oh, man.
Okay, what about
Coming off the
Coming
bye.
off the bye once again. What about Jets and Steelers?
Oh, man.
I'm going to pick the Jets.
I went with the Jets as well. I just feel
Oh,
like
wait, never mind. I'm going to change it. Russ is starting for the Steelers.
Oh,
They're
you
gonna
think
be
that's gonna be-
They're going to be able to score points now. I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Interesting. And it's at home. Steelers defense is really good.
Man, the Jets can't lose another game, though. That's
No, and they just got Devontae
right.
Adams.
They quite literally can't lose this game. I'm picking the Steelers just to be different.
Okay, but you're really picking the Jets.
Yes, in my heart, I'm picking the Jets.
Now, the Baltimore Ravens, we're on to Monday night now, visiting the Tampa Bay
What
Buccaneers.
a fun game. That's actually a really fun game.
It is. Tampa, I just love the Baker Mayfield Bucks,
Yeah.
but I think Baltimore wins this one.
Same. I agree.
Arizona Cardinals at 8 p.m. Central Time, hosting the LA Chargers. Not that they play Central, but
Right.
because there's two Monday night games.
Why is this on Monday night?
I don't
Why are
know.
Chargers and Cardinals.
I took the Chargers,
I'm going to pick the Cardinals.
just to be different.
Yep.
Well, when I have a perfect score,
I'm going to be
and you
so
have,
mad. And I have two wrong. I'm going to be really sad about it.
Ethan and Justin got to shout out our weekly leaders. Ethan and Justin both only one wrong
That's crazy. Which
last
one was
week. One of them had the Broncos, and
Also, it wasn't the same
the other
game.
one, I think Justin had the Commanders over the Ravens.
Okay.
So yeah, two
also
like
one I got
super. Everyone did really well on the picks, almost everyone.
There's no way this week is going to be as chalk as we're saying it is going to be, by the way. Like,
I mean, it
just
just
picked all the
never is, right?
favorites.
Yeah.
Look, we picked all the favorites. That's actually crazy.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, no, I picked the Steelers.
Just to be different.
Yeah, so that'll be.
It's gonna be a great week for the
Yeah, get
favorites.
excited, kids.
The favorites. Anyway, starting to wrap it up here, Devin. You guys got a big game tonight. What is it, Davies against Cheyenne?
We got a few big things that we're doing. Of course, the Fargo Force back in action as our partnership with the Force continues. But then, Fargo Davies hosting Cheyenne. The undefeated Davies Eagles, top team at the 3A level, making the long road trip to West Fargo to play the Mustangs. Cheyenne always dangerous, and so we'll see what happens there.
What time's that kick off?
That's at 7. And then the Force game is at 6, so Eric Moon is going to be busy. And I do want to also mention we had Wednesday night lights for Minnesota yesterday. Two of our area teams that more of our area teams finish off undefeated regular seasons, but the two we went to, Moorhead and Barnesville, both finished their regular seasons 8-0. Barnesville, that was their, I think, 9th time since 2011, finishing the regular season unbeaten. So Barnesville continuing to be an absolute wagon. And now section tournaments getting ready to start on Tuesday for Minnesota, so stay tuned there. Tonight, like I mentioned, we have the Force, then 2 high school football games. Tomorrow, Force back in action again. Kindred looking to close out an undefeated regular season as well.
Again?
On Friday, another one.
Wow.
And then Fargo South also hosting Wahpeton in another sneaky fun matchup.
Okay.
And then, of course, Saturday, Eric's going to have you covered with the Dakota Marker game. I think he might also be running up to UND as well.
It's a long day for Eric. Eric's hustling.
He's a trooper.
He is. Speaking of Eric, I cannot wait to see his Sasha Boisvert package.
That's correct. Thank you for mentioning that. That's airing tonight at 6. So in a couple of hours here, be sure to tune in. Eric is making basically character profiles of the big players to watch for at North Dakota on the hockey team.
And this one already lit the lamp.
Right. Sasha Boisvert. The plan was EJ Emery first and then Sasha Boisvert, and that was just solidified when he scored in their first regular season game. So, their first Quebec-born player ever.
Love that.
So Eric has a fun package on Sasha Boisvert coming up tonight at 6, so stay tuned. And then at 10 we got highlights.
Beautiful. Thank you all for tuning in for the Red Zone, checking the score. It's all great. It's all good.
Checking the score in the red zone.
Oh, I like that. We'll do
Checking the red score.
Touchdown celebration next time. We'll have to develop it though over the next.
We're gonna workshop
workshop.
Okay, I'm here.
That's how Justin Jefferson came up with the gritty. Maybe.
I just want to see you gritty. Can you get up right now?
I'm going to turn the stream off and then I'll go do it.
Stay tuned. Adam's going to gritty right now.
I am not capable.
Go.
You guys have a great week. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.